everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is MJ Pinky, and today I am excited to announce that my novel is fully edited and it has entered the beta reading phase. So in no way, shape, or form do I think that my novel is done. I finished writing all the chapters. I edited it as best as I could. I went back and made the changes that I thought I needed to make. It's as good as I can get it. So now it's with the beta readers. Several members of my critique group said they wanted to read it and beta read it for me. I'm feeling pretty confident about my character arc for all of my characters. I think, based on the feedback that I was getting from my critique group, as far as like, oh yeah, this is in character for this person, or this is what we would come to expect from this character. So I'm feeling really good about those comments. But the beta read is really where all of that is going to be tested, because they're going to read it from start to finish in a much shorter period of time. And yeah, so we're going to see how it all ties together. So I'm excited. I'm really excited. So the final count ended up being 55 chapters, including a prologue, and the word count is 104,000 words. So I was shooting for around 90,000 words because I wanted a few thousand to play with. I didn't want to go above 100,000 words, but as I was getting into the final stretch, and I mentioned, I think in my video, it was either chapter 40 or chapter 41, that I thought maybe there were 6 chapters left. I don't know where I got that number from. I don't know why I thought it was 6 chapters. It ended up being 14 or 15. Definitely underestimated that. So my advice to you guys is, when you are nearing the home stretch, give yourself enough flexibility to tie up all the loose ends that you have. Because you might find as you're writing it that things are not wrapping up as quickly as you thought they should. So just give yourself a little bit more flexibility. If I had really tried to shoehorn everything into 6 chapters, it would just not have worked very well at all. This has been a long journey. I don't want to say the end is in sight, because I've already peeked at some of the comments from my beta readers, and some of them are pretty brutal. So the book is in no way close to being done. I acknowledge this. I'm aware of this. After I get beta reader comments, I'm going to have to go back and evaluate them, make some changes, and try to, strengthen the areas that they identify as being weak. I already see that it's gonna be rough, but that's okay, because it's progress. So I'm just gonna have to distance myself a little bit from it, though. So I shared it out via Google Doc to a couple members of my critique group, my best friend, my sister, and my sister-in-law. Typically, I would say shy away from people who know you, because their opinions may not be as honest as you want them to be. But I don't know. My best friend is leaving me some pretty brutal feedback. So, but I am going to distance myself from my novel while everyone is beta reading and commenting on it, because first of all, I don't want to make them uncomfortable with the comments that they're leaving. And then in the same vein, I don't want to read their comments and have the urge to like comment back or clarify something. I really want their experience with this beta read from start to finish to be as if they had pulled it off the shelf in the library and they're sitting down in their home. They don't know me. They don't have the opportunity to ask me questions. I really want their beta reading experience to be as organic as possible, and as natural as possible, as it would be to, like I said, someone just pulling it off the shelf at the library or the bookstore or something like that. So I will probably browse the questions as they come in my email, just to see if there are any like really egregious errors in my editing. For example, I Control F replaced one of my characters' names. I wasn't anticipating that the character's name would actually be the start of some words. And so already there was a weird word kind of like meshed together with half of another word, and there was no context for it. And so, that comment, I had to clarify what was going on there, that it was an error, not part of the story. So anyways, I will be browsing comments just to make sure anything like that gets addressed immediately. But as far as comments on, like, character, or, is the chapter working or not, or, recommend this being fixed, I'm going to just leave those comments alone. I'm going to let those comments come in, and I'm going to address those when I'm ready to sit down and start editing again. And, the best part about this is that now my brain can kind of like rest, take a break, recoup, and I can devote my energy and my efforts to other projects. And so I'm really excited about this. I have had this idea for this romance novel in my head for about a month and a half now, which doesn't sound like a long time, but I'm really excited to finally, put a pin in a project and move on to this new one, because I'm really, really excited about this one. I'm going to use my my writer's focus deck, or my writer's muse deck. I haven't decided what the name of this is going to be, but I'm going to use this to help me flesh out the plot and the character and everything happening for that story. If you are finishing your novel and you're not sure if you want to just go find a manuscript assessor or an editor right away, I would strongly, strongly, strongly encourage you to find a beta reader first. Whether you find a friend to read it for you, or one of your writing partners, or even if you pay someone to read it and give you feedback, I think this is a very important step, and you really, really need to do this step. Just based on the feedback that I'm already seeing. This is a really, really important step. Do not skip this step. It's going to make your story better. It's going to help you hone in on any little areas that need work. I also told all of my beta readers that if they get bored or they lose interest, tell me. Maybe my feelings are going to get hurt. I don't know. It hasn't happened yet, so I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. But at the same time, if someone is losing interest in my story, that is really important to know. And I want to understand exactly where they're losing interest and what their thoughts are. Like, what are their frustrations with it? I really want to know that, because that's also really important to help me revise and fix whatever that problem is. I don't want readers to lose interest in my book. I want every single chapter to hit hard. I want my characters to be compelling and interesting. I want my readers to care about what happens. And if they're reading and they get to a chapter and they're just like, I just don't want to keep reading. And I want them to feel safe enough that if that happens, that they are comfortable telling me that that's happened and leaving a comment why they feel that way. So I made sure that everybody was aware of that. So anyways, I think I'm done rambling in this video. I'm just really excited about this phase. I'm excited about being able to move on to another project. And I am really excited about, eventually reading all the feedback and making my novel the best that it can be. After this beta read, I think I'm gonna probably move on to finding an editor who can just really kind of tie up any grammar issues. I am a professional editor myself. However, one thing that I have learned just from writing and from my critique group really is that authors are so blind to their own mistakes. We can read a sentence a billion times and not see that comma. That's not in the right place. Um, so even if you are comfortable with your editing and you feel like you have a really good grasp on the English language, I still recommend finding someone else to go back and edit your novel for you, or at least suggest changes. Because Microsoft Word's grammar check isn't the best. Google's is not the best, although they do catch some things. But they don't account for like author style or tone or anything like that you can tweak a bit with grammar usage and punctuation in your story. The automatic ones do not account for that like a human would. So find another editor, find someone to go back over and make sure that it's really tightened up. Reading published novels that have grammatical errors and punctuation errors and weird word usage, it just really degrades the quality of the book for me. And maybe I'm just being super nitpicky about it, but if a publishing house is going to take the time to, publish a book, read it, market it, get it out there on the shelf, they need to pay an editor to make sure that it's grammatically correct as much as possible. And I feel like, if you are self-publishing your novel, you need to do the same. Just make sure that it is, as perfectly polished as it can be, because those things, they're distracting. They take away from your story. They take away from all the hard work that you've put in to make your novel the best that it can be. It's a distraction that unfortunately has nothing to do with your story or your characters or your world or anything like that, but has everything to do with reader experience. So just keep that in mind when you have finished your novel and you're going back through and you're trying to decide what you need to do. That finding an independent editor is a good idea if you're going to self-publish. My ramble is definitely over now. Thank you for sharing in this journey. Thank you guys so much for joining, and I will see you guys in a future video. Happy writing.